Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We have Harrison and Sean with us tonight. How we doing, fellers?
Good, man. Good.
Good boys. Good week of baseball.
Sure.
Excellent week of baseball, and we will talk about it in a little bit. But make sure, first thing, you follow and like us on Facebook. You can also subscribe on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We release reels all the time, so comment, like, you can share those. We love the back and forth, so keep them coming. So here we go. Right into let's start in the ALCS since we have a game 7 going on right now between the Rangers and the Houston Astros.
Yeah, and it's already 1-0 Texas in the top of the first.
Love the start.
Absolutely love it.
Corey Seager winning yard.
Oh, that boy.
Time.
On that bad calf of his.
And the D-backs just forced a game 7.
Yes.
Heck, yes. Let's go, Arizona. So let's start with Friday night game 5. And the thing that everyone's talking about, the Brian Abreu up and in to Adolis Garcia. Plunks him. Intentional or not? This is after Garcia hits an absolute moonshot and stares it down. Was it intentional or not?
Yes, it's fine. It's play of baseball. Yes, it was intentional. You don't think so?
No, I don't. I think he meant to buzz him. I think he meant to buzz the tower and kind of let him know he didn't like it. But I can't imagine in that game situation they want to put a guy on base.
Doesn't matter. Same thing. If you try to buzz a guy and you lose a little bit of it and you hit him, it's intentional. Like it's not like he didn't lose grip of a slider.
No, he wanted to buzz the tower and left it in a little bit.
He tried to come in on him, and he came in and he hit him. And I don't have a problem with it.
No, I don't mind it at all.
Dude, Garcia, not only did he walk for 9 steps, it took him like 60 years to get around the bases, which, again, I don't have a problem with any of it. But it was on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looked intentional to me.
Yeah.
For sure. However, in that game situation, I get pitchers have egos, like all of them do, but you can't tell me that you're trying to put a guy on base when you're already chasing 2 runs.
Right.
He's
not thinking like, hey, I'm gonna plunk this guy and Altuve is gonna get up and bail me out with a 3-run bomb in the top of the 9th. Like the situation for me makes it look like it wasn't intentional.
Well, I think I don't want to say giving too much credit. I think we're overthinking it a little bit. This was a guy in Adolis Garcia, who's pretty well known for really kind of hamming up his home runs. Right? I mean, it's not the first time he's done it. Regular season, he's got an issue with Maldonado, which we saw flare up back in like late July, early August, somewhere like that. I mean, they had another issue where he like pimped a grand slam. Before he crosses the plate, Maldonado's already yapping at him. Bench is cleared there. So there's clearly a history. And if you notice, after he hit him, he didn't start chirping with Abreu. He started chirping with Maldonado.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think as he's crossing the plate from the home run, Maldonado probably said something to him again. I don't think this was much of – I think we're overthinking it being like they're already down 2. You don't want to put a guy on. I think this was this guy needs to learn his lesson. Don't care the game scenario. Don't care who's on base. Don't care where the runners are. I think it was he ain't doing this to us again.
Yep.
He's not doing this to unanswered. Like he's got to answer for it, which is like whatever, man. I mean, that's part of the game.
Yeah. I guess on the other side of the coin too is like kind of defending. Well, not defending, but like Adolis Garcia woke up the Astros a little bit there too by doing that. Like he's got to pick his spots of when to just sit down, and he just
oh my god, yeah,
single.
He did. Oh,
wow.
So, anyways,
what a missed opportunity to be at second base there.
Torched.
It was ripped.
I don't know if he's on second.
That was a missile. You might be right.
I don't know if he's on second either way. That ball was up in his shoulders too.
He stood there a long time though.
That's what he does. But this is another thing too, Nick. You said like he fires them up. which is true. But this is who Adolis Garcia is.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
he
I
hits the
get
ball. He hits the ball hard. He's an electric guy. I mean, this is how he plays the game.
Look, he's like in a Rouse
But I
Arena.
mean,
He'll
if-
drive you crazy, but he can absolutely turn a game around and get everybody pumped up.
But I mean, the Astros are not the team to sit there and poke. You don't poke the bear. You don't.
No.
You don't poke that team and get them any excuse to get fired up.
There, he got to second after all.
You know, like I don't want to give the Astros any excuse
No.
to turn around and kick my face in.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what he kind of did.
Yeah.
So to break that whole situation down, do I think it was intentional? I personally think no. Did Garcia overreact and kind of poke the Astros a little bit? Yeah. So like I'm kind of, I don't know. It's just a weird scenario. And I understand what you're saying by like he's got to learn his lesson no matter the situation. I totally get that too.
No, it's and I'll just to clarify my point of view. I don't necessarily think he has to learn his lesson. I think that was the point of view from Houston. I think
Right.
it was Houston's message in the clubhouse, in that dugout, to be like, we can't keep letting this guy do this to us. Now, the thing you can say about Garcia, he does it to everybody.
He does.
Like he does that
Right,
against
yeah.
every team. Like,
But
this
there's
isn't
something with Houston that he just gets a little bit more animated.
maybe. But it's not like he is he's not, Joe Cool against everybody else, and then like Ricky Henderson against. Again, I mean, this is just who he is. You know, he
No,
loves
and yeah, I
loves
get
himself some Adolis. And he takes every opportunity to turn it up to 11 every time. And I don't, because he does it every time, I don't have an
Oh,
issue.
3-0.
That's all.
that. Let's go.
Oh, this is
Let's go.
Wow.
nightmare start
So, yeah,
for Houston.
Yeah, this is not the
I
start you're
mean-
looking for. So
So
to go back to the situation real quick, I do think he was trying to buzz his tower to make a point. I don't think he was trying to hit him. The fact that he hit him, I don't think was a problem. Slow down. Yeah, Brian, slow down on Ricky, buddy.
My simple point was Ricky loved himself some Ricky. That's the whole point I was trying to make.
Ricky
I wasn't
made
comparing
talking
him on the player.
No, Ricky made talking in the third person a thing.
Yeah, I wasn't comparing the player by no means. I was just saying like Ricky loves him some Ricky.
Yeah.
Adolis loves him some Adolis. That's all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
fair.
totally agree. But I definitely think he was trying to buzz his tower. I don't think he meant to hit him. I don't think he was mad that he hit him. But after he hit him, they kind of panned to the dugout, and you can kind of see Dusty Baker shaking his head a little bit, kind of like, that's not what we wanted. And then I think that's also why Dusty lost his mind when he got tossed, because that was also not the game plan, was to have him get thrown out, because they wanted him in that inning. So I do not think that was how they planned it. I don't think they're upset that's how it played out, because ultimately I think it did fire them up, and it created a little bit of energy. But that is, to Sean's point, that is who he is. Adolis Garcia is animated, colorful, loves himself, loves to celebrate everything he does, and that's just what you get. And he's like a Ricky Henderson, not to pick on Ricky anymore, Brian, or like, I think you go to other sports and like Brad Marchand for the Bruins. He's the kind of guy you love him when he's on your team and you hate him when he's not.
Yeah.
Yep. And I will say just my final piece on it before we can move on. But I do think that I don't even want to call them antics, but the behavior that Adolis puts out certainly fires up the opponent, but it fires up his own team as much as it fires up the other side. It doesn't, he doesn't do it in a way that it takes away from his teammates. So it's hard to hate, because it's like, it gets him to play his game. It keeps him on the aggressive mindset that he plays. And it really galvanizes the rest of his team as much, if not more, than it turns the other team up a notch as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No. Yeah, absolutely. We'll get back to Adolis and game 6 here, but so Altuve gets up in the top of the 9th. And is there anybody more clutch in the playoffs than this guy?
It's ridiculous.
I
I don't
mean,
think so.
this guy gets up in a big
He's
spot
never hit.
every single time and just delivers. Like, you expect it. Altuve's up in the 9th. It's like, well, here's a big hit. Like, he's just unreal. I hate the dude because he's on Houston. But you have to respect the hell out of what he does on the baseball field.
And it's not even
unreal.
And it's not even like, here comes a big hit, because like even on the off chance he gets out, it's like a loud out. Like he smokes it at somebody. It's like, it's never like flailing away, striking out on a bad pitch. Like, he just doesn't do it.
It's
He
unreal.
takes the
It
first
really
pitch
is.
for a ball, and then it's a clear mislocation from Leclerc, but a 1-0 changeup that hangs on the inside, and he made absolutely no mistake on it.
Yeah.
No, I mean he doesn't make
Absolutely.
he makes you pay for every mistake you make.
Yep. Crazy. All right, we'll move on to Game 6. Rangers Astros here, staying in the AL. Speaking of clutch playoff performers, Nathan Eovaldi.
Bulldog.
My God, dude, this
Well-
guy goes out and just gives you everything he has, every single pitch. It is unbelievable what he did. Mitch Garver had 3 hits in that game. Heim had a 2-run homer that was almost robbed by Kyle Tucker.
Mm.
And that kind of changed the whole momentum of that game, is that sneaking out. Now, the crazy part is Tucker robs one later in the game, and he could have had 2 robbed home runs easily that game. Like, he missed that one by Heim by like inches.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't far away from that at all. But so this is the interesting part going back to Adolis Garcia. A golden sombrero and gets up and hits a grand slam. I mean, this is his line. K, 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 GS. like, my goodness. Brian, who we had on the my cousin Brian, who we had on the live broadcast on Thursday, he's a huge Rangers fan. He lives right outside of Dallas, and he hates Garcia. He can't stand him because of this is what it is. He's kind of like the all or nothing guy, right? I mean, 4 Ks and then a grand slam that was murdered. But that's the kind of player you have. But in that lineup, you can have one of those guys.
Right.
Well, it's like it's like Kyle Schwarber. These guys that are all or nothing like that. They have a place.
Yeah.
They just have to be surrounded by other guys that can hit to offset the fact they don't get a lot of hits. They get big hits, but they don't get a lot of them.
Yep. No, it's absolutely fair. But so yeah, Game 7 outlook. We'll move right to Game 7. Bruce Bochy has never lost a Game 7. Dusty Baker has never won a Game 7.
It's an amazing stat.
It's like a decent sample size. It's not just like 1-0 and 0-1. Like, it's a decent sample size. It's crazy stat.
Are you guys looking at the screen right now? The Rangers on the road this postseason are 7-0, scoring almost 6 runs a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can be road warriors in the playoffs, man, you are dangerous.
Yeah, and they
Christian Javier's already been taken out.
New pitcher
and
already.
they played well, like regular season, postseason wise. They played fairly well at home, except against Houston.
Yep.
So Houston, including the postseason, I think it said they played 11 or 12 games in Arlington, and Houston only lost 1 game in Arlington. They were like 11-1.
Yeah.
At Globe Life Field,
Well,
which is just kind of crazy.
And I'm pretty sure Altuve owns Globe Life Field because
probably
I think he's got the most home runs of any traveling player.
It's insane.
But what amazes me too, just to drop back to Altuve for a minute, this guy is second all-time postseason home runs. He's not a power hitter, but for whatever reason, you get in October and the dude just launches.
Yeah, it's he's got to be climbing the hits chart too there.
Well, it helps when you play when you're in the championship series every single season. You get a lot of ABs, but my goodness.
Yeah, it's unreal to watch. But all right, so obviously we're off to a 3-0 start for the Rangers.
Love it.
Here.
So tired of Houston.
Yep.
Well, a long way to go.
I mean, tons of game left. What do we expect out of Max Scherzer tonight?
Not much.
I don't know.
Scares the hell out of me.
Me too. I mean, I would love to see. I mean, obviously, if vintage Max shows up, this game's already over.
Yeah.
But if you get the Max of the last year and a half, like, I don't know. This is a team that can hit Houston. It's a team that can go deep, and Max isn't shy on giving up the long ball. So it's like there's just so much game left. Like, this is obviously not a great start for Houston, but with the lineup that they have and the guy that's on the mound, I mean, if they can get out of it with only 3-0, and I say only, but frustrated, but this game is far, far from over.
Yeah, so I posted this on our Facebook page earlier today. So Max Scherzer, since the year 2020, with at least 25 innings pitched, he has the worst postseason ERA of any pitcher in baseball. Now, granted, how many pitchers have thrown that many innings in the last 3 or 4 seasons? Maybe only so many qualify, but he's got an ERA of 5.68, and he's 0-3 in the playoffs since
Yeah, not great.
2020. It's
Not great.
horrendous. And then so behind him is Tyler Glass now. Third is Clayton Kershaw. Big shocker there. Then you got Jose Urquidy and Max Fried. But Max Scherzer is comfortably in first place as the worst postseason pitcher of the last handful of years.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he comes out and just absolutely plows the Astros down. That's what the Rangers need to get back to the classic here. But this is a great start for them.
Yeah,
So,
as somebody who's pulling for the Rangers because I'm tired of Houston, him on the mound tonight scares me. I don't 3-0 is nice because at least you've given him some margin for error. But I'm not comfortable that three runs wins it. I'm pretty sure he's going to give up more than that.
Yeah, Rangers are going to score tonight,
A lot,
early and often,
as many as you can, and you're already in the bullpen, so maybe you can get some matchups you like.
Yep. All right, let's flip over to the NLCS here, and my Diamondbacks forced a Game 7 tomorrow. Winning in Philly has been tough for anybody to go in, and the Diamondbacks were able to go in and punch Philly right in the mouth, kind of in the top of the second inning. They started and got 3 runs right there, and it took the crowd right out of it. Merrill Kelly came in and did a great job, and he gets taken out in the 5th, and he was looking so good. He just plowed through Schwarber, Turner, and Harper in the 5th, and he thought he was going out for one more, and Lovello said, no, like, you're done. And Merrill Kelly was like pissed, like visibly pissed about it. Rightfully so. Like, when you're in a groove like that, the last thing you want to have is your manager come over and say, hey, thanks, but like, hit the showers, like, we're good. I'm glad they won, but cool that they're going to go to a Game 7. Tomorrow's going to be a crazy matchup. Brandon Pfaadt's been pitching unreal, and they got Ranger Suarez for the Phillies. So, I mean, both of them have been pitching lights out. It's going to be a dogfight tomorrow, so excited for that. But let's start with Game 4. So Diamondbacks are trailing. Alec Thomas gets up and hits that huge pinch hit home run off Craig Kimbrell to tie it, and then Gabby Moreno with this RBI single to take the lead, and Sewald comes in and close it down. Gabby Moreno, this kid is going to be fun to watch for years to come.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, who was the trade? What trade was that?
Was that Varsho?
That was the Varsho trade for Lourdes Gurriel
Yep.
and Gabriel Moreno,
Right.
and the Diamondbacks have stolen that trade.
That's worked out well.
Close.
Yeah, it has.
Not even close. Yeah. So, and then Game 5, it was all Phillies. I mean, Schwarber hit one. What was it? 460 something, and then Harper 2 batters later gets on and hits up 440. I mean, it was just absolutely insane. And then tonight's game. So yeah, Game 7 tomorrow. Excited for that. I'm pulling hard for my D-backs. I will be jumping up and down on my couch, pacing the living room. But
do we know the pitching matchup for tomorrow?
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be fought against Ranger Suarez.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's for sure, but that's how the pitching's lined up so far.
Ranger Suarez is good in the playoffs. That's not a guy you want to see coming up Game 7.
No, not at all. But
No,
Brandon Pfaadt,
especially,
like I said,
especially with the way when
pitching
he's
like
on too, it's just like a lot of frustratingly soft contact.
Oh, it's annoying.
But I mean, Pfaadt is listed as of right now. Philly still has a TBD, but it's listed as Pfaadt for Arizona.
Okay, so Arizona has announced. Philly has not. Okay.
Yeah. So we will obviously keep an eye on this game as the show rolls on here, but we're going to cover some other topics as well.
Can I just say, and I mentioned this before we got on, I am so pumped both these series are going 7 games. Oh yeah. Altuve just broke the wall.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
I love the Game 7s. This is how it should be.
And they said they hadn't had a Game 7 since like 2020. So that's kind of crazy.
It's been a while. There's been so many sweeps or 5-game series.
The LCSs?
Yeah. I think in general. Like I saw that. It was like no Game 7 since 2020. So All right, let's switch gears real quick and cover all of these front office and managerial openings. A lot has kind of come out, nothing for sure, but a few things here and there. So let's start with the 10 candidates that have declined to interview for the Red Sox front office job. 10. What does that say to you guys?
You and me both, Brian. Send me some blood pressure medicine.
I mean,
For sure.
I mean, it's been speculated up here. I mean, I know obviously you're in North Carolina, Nick, so I don't know how much but like, you know, some of the things I've heard, sports radio and stuff like that, which certainly seems to make sense. It's like, if you're a candidate, particularly a big name candidate for the Red Sox, I mean, there's a whole lot of kind of uneasy feeling about like kind of the fluctuation in the front office in Boston. Like, I would probably be weary as well to like move my family from point A to point B, to know that like in a couple of years there's a chance I'm gone. Like, if they're not going to give me a solid foundation to say like I'm going to put a plan in place and see it through, you know, I mean, and particularly because if it looks like Cora is the guy for the ownership group, right? Like if they're kind of outwardly sitting there going, Cora's our guy, and we want Cora, and and I love Cora, but Cora was pretty outwardly against Heim in the second half of the season.
Very vocal.
And then we see Heim is let go. Cora stays. And I assume, you know, you get the kind of the inclination that Cora is going to be involved in the process of filling in the front office. And it's just like, if I'm the guy that's brought in to make these roster decisions, and I'm the guy that's brought in to build up the farm system and put a winning team on the field, like, if you always are looking over your shoulder, like, well, does the manager like the decision, or is the manager going to go over my head and go right to ownership? And if the manager does that a few times and ownership is tired of hearing him complain, like, am I going to be out the door in 2 years? Like, it just seems like a risk almost not worth taking. Like, this isn't a team that's one step away from winning a title. Like, you got your work cut out for you.
Yeah.
So I'm not totally shocked.
No, and if you're one of your most key employees or key staff members in Cora, you have no control over, no say over, no, you can't do anything about them. That's not a spot that a GM wants to be in, where
Right.
you in effect have turned the pendulum around, and you're the guy taking orders from the manager, and nobody's going to want to walk into that role. You know, the GM's job. People think of the GM, they just like build the roster. The GM runs most of the front office. You know, they're running baseball ops, running game day ops. They're running a lot of different things. You don't need to worry about what's going on down at field level, because you got a manager who's going rogue and you can't do anything about it. So from the people that turned it down, a lot of them just outright said no, like not interested in the job. And the belief is a lot of it is Cora. There are people that have big concerns about Cora. They also have big concerns about this ownership group not picking a path. They've also got big concerns with the fact this ownership group is checked in and checked out. You know, 1 minute they're all about Formula One, then they're all about soccer, then they're back to the Red Sox. What are you getting if you go take that job? And if you're an established GM, you don't want to go ruin your reputation in that hot mess.
Yeah.
Because you won't get another job.
Right. So this comment by Brian, but how awesome would Jason Varitek be? This just segues perfect into my next bullet point, which absolutely hurts me to my core. Is Jason Varitek interviewed for the San Francisco job? I hope to hell that he doesn't go there.
Oh God,
because I want him in the manager seat here eventually. But yeah, that one hurt me. I was like, come on, man, I don't go to San Francisco. Please.
That one stings.
Yeah. So I sure as hope not. I want him in Boston eventually. And I'm with you, Sean. I think the big deterrent is Alex Cora sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if Cora,
unfortunately, I know you like him, but he's the biggest deterrent for these candidates coming in. They want to pick their own manager, most likely.
Well, if that's the thing too, though, then I still think he's a good manager. But spin it,
Yep.
spin it.
Got it.
Oh, all right. I still think he's a really good manager, and I think he is like a top, let's say, 10 manager in baseball, top 10, 11 manager in baseball. But if he's the number one deterrent to why you can't fill out your front office, then a decision has to be made.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
if he is so closely tied in to front office decisions, then and I know obviously it's not this easy, but bring him to the front office and let him run the front office. I mean, if he is that
Right.
if he is that tied in, and if he is that dedicated, then offer him a role there. Obviously, he wants to be on the bench. He wants to be a manager, and I get that. But I'm just saying, in a perfect world,
Yeah.
then let him do that. Don't lose a guy like Veritek. Offer
Right.
Veritek the manager job here. Clearly, he and Kohler
Right.
have a good relationship. I mean, they've been working on the same
Yeah.
staff for God knows how long. They were teammates together.
Right.
So I mean, it seems like, I mean, that could be an option too, but it's not. Cora wants to manage, and I get it, but I mean, it looks like we could be some tumultuous years ahead as Red Sox fans if that's the case, because it doesn't seem like they're going to have much stability there as long as he's in the manager role.
No, I do. I do think he's an issue. But to go back to your point, Nick, I was thinking more about the Jason Veritek thing earlier today, and of course now everybody's talking about him going to San Francisco. But part of me thinks that if you're Jason Veritek, you probably don't want your first job to be in Boston. Like, you probably want to go cut your teeth somewhere else, make your mistakes somewhere else, and then come back here when you're ready to really take the reins of a team and you've got some experience under your belt. I feel like starting here for him would be a little bit tough because it is home. He's got the reputation. He's got the fan base. It might be easier to go make some mistakes somewhere else and then come back here when you've got the experience where you're more comfortable. Because he knows this market. He knows how it's going to be, and it might be easier to come home when you're ready.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair point.
That could backfire
hate
on you, though, man.
Good.
I mean,
Yeah.
you go take a job San Francisco is at the same. I mean, the fan base probably isn't as rabid in San Francisco, but it's a big market. It's a team that expects to win. It's a team that, for the last couple of years has been building towards building up their roster to be playoff contenders. You go there and you start making some mistakes there. I mean, now all of a sudden you're known as the manager that can't get it done. Now all of a sudden it's not like you're doing it in Oakland, where it's like, I mean, Mark Kotsay, I mean, you can't hold anything against Mark Kotsay there.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's one where oh, look at his managerial record. It's like, yeah, but I mean, look at what he had to do. I mean, you go to San Francisco for 3 or 4 years, you take a good team and continually underperform.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't care.
Ask Gabe Kapler.
Right. It's like, I don't.
Yeah.
That's going to follow Gabe Kapler around.
Speaking of Gabe Kapler, he is a big name that has now started to come up into the front office job for the Red Sox here. So that's an interesting name that has popped up. I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't hate it. At this point, we need to hire someone. We need someone in that seat if we want to be in on the Ohtani sweepstakes. We have to get our ducks in a row.
You and Ohtani. You're just so convinced Ohtani's coming to Boston.
I'm not convinced, but if we don't have a front office that knows their ass from their elbow, we don't even have a shot.
Well, they may still not.
You know what I'm saying? Well, fair.
I mean,
but that's my point. It's like if you're a complete shambles in the front office, what are you going to do this off season with free agents? I mean, you got some big arms coming. You got Nola on the free agent, which I think he stays in Philly. But you have arms on the market that the Red Sox clearly need.
Bad.
And if we don't have anybody to pull the triggers in the front office, then that's an issue. So they need to get their ducks in a row and get someone hired in that spot. At this point, I don't even care. It could be Joe Schmo off the street. I don't care. Someone needs to be in that seat. But
But at the same time, I think I mentioned to you guys, you look at the 3 likely finalists right now, it looks like, for the Red Sox. You got Thad Levine from the Twins, an experienced GM of a playoff team. That's good. We like that. Who's used to working with a small budget. So, you got some opportunity there. You got Craig Breslow, a current assistant GM. And then you've got Gabe Kapler, a recently fired manager with no front office experience. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't exactly have murderer's row of candidates lined up. You're picking from the second, maybe the third tier here of candidates. It's great that there's people that actually have taken the interviews, but I'm not super confident that they hire any of these guys and anything really changes. I
Yeah.
don't see. I mean, love Gabe Kapler, a lot of respect for Craig Breslow and what he's done. Thad Levine's got a good track record, but this is the Boston Red Sox. This is not the Minnesota Twins. Like it's a
Right.
different. This is a different place, and if you're not prepared to come in and run a big market franchise with big expectations and big budgets and big operations, this thing will eat you alive.
Yeah. Beth makes a great point. If pitching isn't a priority for them this year, that will show you they don't care.
For sure.
Agreed.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get off the Red Sox bandwagon here for a little bit. And Stephen Vogt is emerging as the favorite to take over the Cleveland Guardians job, to take over Francona's seat. So that's a interesting name to kind of go into that manager role. Again, another former catcher taking a managerial seat. So thought that was kind of interesting today. So
I feel like
We'll
the
see.
catchers, it's always the catchers. Like you think of all the really
Yeah.
good managers and all the really good front office people, it's a lot of catchers. Those
Like-
guys know the game better than anybody because they've got to watch it and kind of be the general.
Yeah.
Catchers are where it's at.
Absolutely. Yep. Love it. So, yeah, I mean, as this offseason definitely goes on, because, I mean, after the playoffs, I think there's going to be a lot more moving pieces, obviously. Some of these managerial spots are going to really start moving here because there's a lot more open than what we originally thought, which is crazy. But so we'll see. But, yeah. All right. We'll take a little trivia break here. And Harrison, it's your show. So if you are watching the show and you want to also answer the trivia questions, you can throw them in the comments and we'll go from there. So Harrison's got a few questions for us.
All right, I'm going to ease into this a little bit. I got a few questions for you guys and just a couple of interesting facts I want to share. So to celebrate the fact that we've got, a nice capper there. To celebrate the fact that we are on the verge of knowing our World Series matchup, I'm doing a little bit of World Series trivia here. So I'm gonna warm it up with a couple of questions, and then we'll dive into a couple more. And I got a couple of interesting facts. So a fun one here. So, in what year was a World Series game postponed due to an earthquake?
89.
89.
89.
It was the A's and Giants. It was
Yeah.
the Bay Area. Yeah.
Yeah, 89.
Yeah.
So it was the Oakland A's. Whole place started shaking.
Yeah. Crazy.
So the 2004 World Series, we remember that well.
Yes.
So who was on the mound and who made the final out?
Keith Folk.
Folk and Edgar Renteria made the final out.
Yep.
Who was then with the Red Sox the following year.
That's right.
In that 2004 World Series, do you remember how many runs the St. Louis Cardinals scored?
All told?
All told.
4.
It felt like it.
9?
Man.
You're not too far off, Sean. A little bit more.
11.
12.
12.
They
12
scored
runs.
9 in
12
game 1, 2 in
Yeah.
game 2, 1 in game 3, and none in game 4.
And just going back to the Renteria, didn't Edgar Renteria make the final out of wasn't he a 2-time final out of the World Series guy?
Yes, he made
Yeah,
the final.
The Giants.
For which one?
The Giants.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. With the
He
Giants.
also hit the walk-off single for the
Florida.
Marlins.
Yeah, for Florida in '97. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's had an interesting World
Crazy.
Series history.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Who holds the record for the most career World Series home runs? And bonus if you can tell me how many.
Career bonus home runs. Can you give us time period?
I can. He would have been in the 40s and 50s.
Mantle.
Yes, it is Mantle.
Oh wow, nice, Nick. Do you know how many?
Yeah. I'm gonna go with
I said 40s and 50s. He was
13.
50s and 60s. How many did you say?
13.
Close. He's got 18 World Series dingers.
Holy moly!
Dang.
That's
insane.
3 more than the runner-up, who
18.
is. Any guesses?
David Ortiz.
Ortiz.
No. That's what I thought too.
So it's got to be another freaking Yankee.
It's another Yankee. Guy was known for
Bernie
hitting home
Williams. Oh. A-Rod.
runs. No, World Series only.
Goodness.
Paul O'Neill.
He played in a bazillion World Series way back in the day.
Oh, Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth.
Oh, wow. Yeah, makes sense. Dang.
All right. Who holds the record for the most strikeouts in a single World Series game?
World Series game.
Single game.
Single one. Koufax.
No.
Kurt Schilling.
Nope.
Don Larson.
No, but good one. He's not far off.
That was a great guess. Fernando Valenzuela.
No, you guys love this guy. He broke baseball.
Oh,
Bob
Gibson.
Gibson.
Bob Gibson, 17 strikeouts in game 1 of the 1968 World Series.
Oh,
Dang.
is that good?
I should have known that one.
Is that good? It's also the most in any postseason game still.
Well, starters only go 3 innings now, so there's
That is true. Or they go less than 1 if you're the Astros.
Right.
So, random question. When the Cubs won their curse-breaking World Series in 2016, do you remember who recorded the save in Game 7?
Yeah, it was
Chapman. Aroldis Chapman.
No. He was on. He did pitch, but he was not on the mound when it ended.
Who was their closer then? Was it John Lester? Was it some
No,
like
no, it
starter?
would have been awesome if it was, though.
I know it was Bryant to Rizzo.
It was. I'm watching
Who
Yeah,
it
was,
right
who
now.
was
play.
pitching? Who was pitching?
Was he a righty or a lefty?
Lefty.
And it wasn't Chapman.
It was one of 4 saves he recorded in his 6-year career.
Oh God.
He was a left-handed kind of utility dude for them on the mound. This is an obscure one. I just wanted to ask it because I thought it was a cool stat with the record with the curse.
Goodness gracious. I don't have a clue.
Yeah, dude.
I
Chapman
have
was
the
my
play
only guess.
running in my head, yeah, but
Yeah, so he he pitched for Seattle, the Cubs for a handful of years, the Royals, and then finished his career with a very brief stint with the Mets.
I don't have a guess. A lefty?
Yeah,
And
2020.
he was like
2020 was the last
did he
year.
did he ever start any, or is he just all relief?
No, he started. He did both. He started for stretches and then he came out of the bullpen to stretches.
Good God, I have
I
no
don't,
idea.
I don't have a guess.
So,
I'm
It was
blank.
Mike Montgomery.
Never would have
Wow.
gotten that.
No,
Yeah, dude, you could
that's
have given
why-
me another hour.
it was an obscure one. I wanted to put it out there for
Right.
you.
You could have spelt his name out and I still wouldn't have gotten it.
So,
But that's crazy.
not a question, but an interesting stat. First World Series MVP of all time was Johnny Padres, who lifted the Dodgers to the first World Series title in 1955 by going 2-0 with a 3.95 ERA.
395.
395 got it
Yeah,
done.
2-0, 3.95 for the
MVP.
1955 Dodgers. But that was the first World Series MVP.
Dang. Cool.
And then there's
Nice.
one other, or two other kind of interesting stats I wanted to share with you guys. Where do they go? So
Dude.
I have a tough time pronouncing his name, but Bill Wamgans, I'm going to go with that. In October of 1920, executed an unassisted triple play in the World Series. Caught a line drive, stepped on
that's
second,
it.
through to first.
So that wouldn't be unassisted.
that's not
You'd have to
unassisted.
I'm
tag-
sorry,
you'd
no,
have to
sorry,
tag-
sorry.
Yeah.
Caught it, stepped on second, and tagged the runner coming from first. Sorry,
Oh,
he did not throw it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you mentioned Sandy Koufax, Nick. He holds the record for most Ks in a World Series with 29. He lost game in 1965. He lost game 2 of the World Series. He came back and threw a 4-hitter in game 5, a 3-hitter in game 7. He finished with a .38 ERA, a record 29 strikeouts, and the World Series MVP.
Oh my word.
With a .38 ERA.
Yeah, he gave up-
That's
Yeah,
absurd.
and he lost game 2. That tells you how thin a
That
margin it
is
was.
absurd. That's insane.
Yeah, that was
Well,
fascinating.
now that we're talking about like dominant postseason performances on the mound, I did throw out the poll question on the page this week of who would you want to pitch in a must-win game? And I put only these three options because they're still currently pitching in the playoffs. So I put out Zach Wheeler, who's been absolutely dealing, Justin Verlander, and big game Nate Eovaldi. So the poll results are in. Nathan Eovaldi with 4 votes, Zach Wheeler with 4 votes,
Really?
and Justin Verlander with 3 votes. I'm interested to see who would you guys take out of those 3 for your big game.
Evaldi. Not even thinking about it. And honestly, right now, Wheeler is the most hot of those pitchers. He is absolutely untouchable. But I will take Nathan Eovaldi's track record as a bulldog who is not going to give up. I'll take that every time.
Yeah, I think Evaldi's probably it for like you can feel very, very almost guaranteed that you're not going to get blown out.
Yeah.
Right? Like almost like a guaranteed, like, okay, even if he doesn't have his best stuff, he's going to grind. He's going to battle. He's going to give you everything he's got. He's going to keep you in the game. He's going to give your offense a chance to kind of, get caught up and make a game out of it. Although, all that being said, Verlander he's just so, how do you not have the utmost confidence when you have Verlander on the mound? Right? Like game 7, it's like if your team has all the confidence, it's like, you see it right now with Houston. This team has such confidence because it's like, we can hit this guy. We can hit Scherzer. We've hit him already. Like, We're down 3-0, whatever, fine. Confidence. We're getting on base. We're running. We're aggressive in the zone. Like, it's a team with confidence. If you have Verlander on the mound, you got to just have insane confidence. So it's probably, I guess I'm on the fence. It's classic me on the fence. But I would say like
No.
1A Verlander, 1B Eovaldi.
Yeah. Beth in the comments said Eovaldi, he's underrated. He's not going to be underrated after this year, let me tell you. People know who Nathan Eovaldi is now, if you didn't already.
Mm-hmm.
I am going Nathan Eovaldi, no questions asked right now. That dude is unreal on the mound in a must-win game. Even in a non-must-win game, he's just mows people down, completely dominant all the time. So I'm going Nathan Eovaldi there.
The one knock on Evaldi's always been, the regular season durability. Like that's always been the knock on him, is the fact that he misses a lot of time. And he signed a 2-year deal with the Rangers. 2 years, $34 million. So he got paid roughly market.
Yeah.
But he didn't get the length, because I think that people are just a little uncomfortable thinking you can commit to him for that long.
Well, he's not exactly a young buck either.
It's true. He's been around. He's got the miles on that arm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm taking listen. I would take either one of those 3, no questions asked. But at this current moment, I'm taking Eovaldi.
Yeah.
So, all right, we will head home here and cover some other news around the league before we go, and let you guys enjoy the rest of Game 7 here. The Dubai Professional Baseball League, so Baseball United, is this new league that's starting in the Middle East here. Now, the interesting part of this, like this is all news that I literally just saw today. So I'm still learning about it myself. But the founding stakeholders are 2 Hall of Famers, Mariano Rivera and Barry Larkin. So they're like all in on this.
An odd pairing, by the way.
Odd pairing, but hey, whatever. We've always talked about growing baseball globally, and like here we go. We're throwing it in the Middle East and in India. So there's 4 teams. There's 2 in UAE. There's the Dubai Wolves and the Abu Dhabi Falcons. So those will be 2 teams out of the UAE. There's 1 in Pakistan, which is, I'm probably going to butcher this, but Karachi Monarchs.
Sure, sounds right.
Yeah, that's
So-
Karachi's it.
Which is kind of cool because the Monarchs, they said when I was reading about it, it's kind of a nod to the Negro League. So it's that's why they went with that. So it's kind of cool. And then there's 1 in India, the Mumbai Cobras, which is managed by Chris Sabo, none other than Goggles himself. So
Love it. I love the goggles.
So they had the draft today, and there's some big names that went in this draft. You ready for this list?
I am.
Robinson Cano, Bartolo Colon.
Bartolo Clone's like what, 65 now?
Dude, he probably went like 4th overall, probably.
He probably still gets guys out too.
Yep. Didi Gregorius. I thought he was older than he is. He's only 33.
Yeah, and he kind of just like quietly disappeared from baseball.
Yep. Pablo Sandoval, so Kung Fu Panda is now in the Middle East.
Oh man, if they put Panda and Cologne on the same team, they're gonna blow their per diem food budget.
Love it. Andrelton Simmons, and
Another
also
Good player.
Yep. And then Rusney Castillo. So for all of you Red Sox fans out there that know what a $74 million baseball player that never makes it to the major leagues looks like, it's
Yeah.
Rusney Castillo.
And before we came on, I was saying, gee, I wonder if he'll get a call up in this league.
Right. Brian. Bartolo Colon is a documented 50.
Has to be, but guaranteed that guy would still go out there, give you 5 innings, and get people out.
Hit a few
Still.
bombs for you too.
Occasionally, I'll drop a bomb in there now and then, and you're good to go.
Yeah. So like I said, like it's still new. It sounds like the games are going to start in November, which I don't know what like watching it on TV is going to look like. I mean, the games are going to be on at 2 a.m. So
November, like this November?
yes, sir.
How can they just had the draft today?
Well, I mean, let's be serious, Nick. This is
It's
none
it's
of
a
these
grown
guys are in
it's,
shape to go play, so
it's
this will be
grown
fun.
man's little league. It's
I
pretty
was
much
going
what
to
it's.
say it's beer
That's
league
insane.
softball beats Major League Baseball.
Yeah. So I
That
don't
would be-
know
That
how
would be
they're-
fun to watch. It'd be
Yeah.
like slow motion baseball, but it'd be fun to watch.
It's interesting because like I don't know how they're going to fill out the other rosters, but it sounds like guys that have been like journeymen in the minors, and that's
It's like the Savannah Bananas.
for sure. It's like the
It'll be a
Antiques
show.
Road Show.
Oh God, it so is.
But I did some more reading on it, and it sounds like there's a lot of like journeyman minor leaguers that just haven't gotten the shot in the major leagues are going over there to fill out the roster. So
We need to ship Anthony Delfonso over there so we can show him how it's done.
yeah, right. Maybe he'll get up and go play some Middle Eastern baseball.
Give him a
pretty
ring.
sweet.
I
Yeah.
bet you still take all those guys deep.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, so interesting. We'll see how that develops. We'll kind of keep an eye on it and see what that
Oh, did he
like,
just?
looks like.
Oh boy.
And did that stay fair?
Had Elise Garcia, another one, 4-1.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's
I
go.
love it.
Boy, oh boy.
Okay. I know. So if you guys were watching when we were on live Thursday, we kind of threw some of these things out. Juan Soto trade rumors. What do we think about Juan Soto moving from San Diego?
Where's he going?
I mean, where do you think he's going to go? He's going to go to the
Well,
Evil Empire.
I mean, that's so. I was going to say I'll give you my answer if you tell me where he leaves to go to.
Yeah, he's going to New York, I think, if he gets moved.
I mean, go ahead.
I say this to me makes me scratch my head because the Padres traded for him a couple years ago and had 3 years of control. They've used 2 of them. They're now going to turn on and trade him again with 1 year of control because he's an unrestricted free agent after the 24 season. He's got 1 arbitration year eligible or 1 arbitration year left. Why do that now? Because you're gonna the return you were going to get for him, you're not going to get for him. So unless this is a salary dump or you really feel like he's not a fit, why are you moving him? Why are you not just trying to re-sign him? Or do you think you can't? Or do you not want to?
I think
It's
if
puzzling.
he goes to the Yankees, it's not going to be for minor league package. They're going to want Jason Dominguez. They're going to want Volpe, or they're going to want a major league ready talent now. I know Jason Dominguez is hurt, but he just slides over and plays right field for them. Like, they're going to get a big package, but they're going to get major league ready players if Soto's dealt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't disagree, Brian. Soto might be overrated.
But their thing in San Diego is like the salary number right now is so high. So they're kind of in a tough spot. Like, it has to be, they're going to want major league talent back, but it has to be major league talent that's young and under control, because guys with big contracts, they won't be able to take those contracts on. So there's only a few teams and a few players that are going to be able to qualify for San Diego to even pull that off.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're the Yankees, why would you give up a big haul for a guy who's only got 1 year left, unless you know you can sign him?
Yeah.
And if you're Soto, do you really want to sign right now, or do you want to go test the market? Because Ohtani's going to go probably break the market. You may want to be signing after him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably. But what's he have as far? Does he have like a no movement?
No, he's still in his arbitration years, so he doesn't.
Yeah. So
he's got nothing.
So it's not up to him then.
Nope.
So it's not up to him.
Yeah. So the Gold Glove finalists for this year were released, and there is one glaring name that is not on it for the first time in his career.
Nick Arno.
And that's Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, but don't worry, Mauricio Dubon's on there twice.
What is he on there for? Center field and
no, both middle and
utility.
Field positions. Oh yeah, no, utility and
get out of here.
Utility and second base or something like that.
Yeah, it's silly. On there twice. It's silly.
Which is bullshit. Like, if you're on there for utility, you're utility. If you're on there for second base, you're second base. You can't be both.
It's silly.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, that's dumb.
And
so to stick with
I can't fathom a world where Arenado's not on that list. I just can't.
Yeah, these are the three that beat him out. Ke'Bryan Hayes, yes, we've seen this guy live. He's legit.
He is good.
He's definitely a finalist. Ryan McMahon from Colorado,
who
is the one I'm like, I mean, he's a great player, but I mean, whatever. And then Austin Riley is the third finalist.
And
third base.
Austin Riley, I mean, he's a solid third baseman, but he's a bat that has to play the field somewhere. Like, he's not a great third baseman.
I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know enough about that stuff. Like, to me, it's a lot of like eye test stuff.
I mean, other than that, yeah. So
you got me.
I mean, no, you're good. I think other than that,
froze
I mean,
for a second.
The list. Oh, am I good?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Other than that, I don't think the rest of the list is that shocking. Like, I mean, you can make a case for everybody else on the list. It was just the glaring no Nolan Arenado on there for the first time in his 12-year career, which was ridiculous. But
yeah, I just think the thing with Arenado though is like he's so consistent with it, and it's almost like he makes plays look too easy. He's like a victim of his own. Like, well, we've only seen 5 diving plays from him this year. It's like, because his range is so ridiculous. He gets to every ball. Like, he just doesn't have to. I don't know.
Right.
And they were a horribly frustrating team to watch most of the year. So I'm not going to pretend to have watched 162 Cardinals games, but as long as he's healthy and playing, he's on the list. Like, he's it's almost like a grandfathered in thing. Like, as long as he's healthy and playing, he is one of the best defensive third basemen in baseball, let alone his particular league.
Yeah. And can I ask a question too? Because this bothers me. Maybe it doesn't bother you guys, but I look at that list and Anthony Rizzo's on it. The dude missed more than a third of the season. Like, he played 99 games. I feel
What's
like
the thing
there's
with? I don't think Brian Hayes played a ton of games either.
oh, that's a good point. I feel like there's
No.
got to be like some kind of a
No.
cutoff. Like you can't be a Gold Glove winner if you didn't play so much of the season because everybody else has got so many more chances than you. It just
I bet it has to come down to chances, right? That's probably where the cutoff is. So if you get a pitching staff that induces a lot of ground balls, you're going to have more chances than even a guy that plays
yeah.
162.
Cabrian Hayes played 124 games, so
More than I thought.
yeah.
Certainly.
So better than I would have
Yeah.
expected. But yeah, I mean Rizzo didn't even play 100 games. Like I struggle with these guys. I feel like you need a bigger sample set to win an award like that. But
Yeah. A couple more things that I have. Lance Barksdale in the Philly-Arizona game, game 5, was one pitch away from umping a perfect game. One pitch he missed. It didn't really impact the game too much. It was top of the third, 1 out, bases empty, a 3-2 pitch to Trey Turner that was a ball that he called a strike. So that's the only one he missed in that entire game, or he would have had a perfect game. I know we spend weeks on weeks on weeks crapping on umpires all the time. Thought I'd give one his due for having the great game that he did. So yeah, it was kind of cool to see an umpire actually call balls and strikes accurately.
Yeah, and there's
it's nice.
Listen, there's plenty of them out there that do it, and I think you're right. I mean, umpires are like offensive linemen, right? The only ones you know are the great ones and the horrible ones.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that's all you know. So, no, good for him, man. I mean, that's a big spot for him to show up behind the plate and ump effectively a perfect game. So,
Yeah.
So
I was talking about this today. I can't remember who I was talking about it with, but I wish the crew chief had the power to just bring in somebody from the bullpen if they're having a bad game. Just be like, hey, like we're gonna go to the lefty here. Like you're going behind the dish, buddy. Like
you'd have to carry an extra. You'd have to carry an extra umpire for every crew that
right.
Angel Hernandez is on.
Right, and build like a third bullpen in the outfield.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know that would never happen. That's obviously just talking off the cuff here, but
well, I'd also love to see. I'd love to see, even kind of in the same vein, but a little bit differently. I'd love to see the crew chief, which don't even get me started on, because it's the way football and baseball do it, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. They have crews that are together all year long, and then you get to the postseason, and then it's just the best of the best together. So it's like you get to the biggest games, the most important games, the games that determine championships, and you now have a crew working together that has no chemistry because they haven't worked together all year. So
I agree. I
that's
hate
just
that.
a little side note.
Should
But
be
I
the
would
best crew that goes together.
Right. I would love, on that same vein though, Nick, I would love to see a little caveat in a rule to where like a guy like Lance calls a game that he calls, and the crew chief goes, you know what? How do you going back for game 6? Like ride the hot hand. Like you do it like the players. Obviously pitchers can't pitch back-to-back games, but like, you get a guy that's riding a hot bat, you move him up in the lineup a little bit, like, hey, like ride the wave.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks did that with Pavin Smith. He came in and had like 3 pinch hits, singles, and he got a starting lineup.
Yeah, but I would love them to see like, okay, well now we have a rotation. It's like, yeah, I get the rotation, and it's good to have that, and it gives umpires a break, and it's you just had a stressful game. Behind the plate has to be more stressful than umpiring third base. It just has to be. But I would love to see the crew chief be like, you know what, this is game 6 of the NLCS. Like, are you up for it? And he's like, yeah, I'm up for it. And it's like, all right, you're back behind the dish. Like, keep up the good work. Yep. And it's not a guarantee that he's going to ump another perfect game. But, you're putting your best foot forward.
Right. Yeah, if you're on a hot streak, ride it. Absolutely, just like you said. But just thought it would kind of cool to, give the umpire a nod when it's due. So,
well, and
for now, we're not going back to robo umps.
Yeah. And I know on that topic, I wanted to bring up, and this happened almost 2 months ago, but I really just started seeing stuff about it now. But there was it was a Frontier League game where the crew chief actually threw an umpire out of the game.
Oh, that's right.
Because he got out of control. He and a player were going at it, and he got out of control. They started to get he got they were getting a little aggressive with each other. So both the player and the umpire got thrown out of the game. And you watch the umpire like walk out of the walk. They open the outfield wall and he walks out and leaves. And that was the first time that had happened in years where an umpire was removed from the game because the crew chief decided he could no longer perform his duties because he was so like just out of control with the situation. And, it's, as we're talking about that, I was thinking about, the clip I saw, because the situations where these guys get ridiculous, they get really overheated, or they try to draw the fight to them like Angel Hernandez and some of these guys do. Like, it'd be great to have the crew chief be able to say, not today, we're not doing this. You started it, you get out. Versus the player always being the one that catches the rap because there's nothing that can happen to an umpire. Oh boy.
Right.
4-2.
Dang, that was a
Bregman,
bomb.
yeah.
Dang. And then the last thing I have, again, we mentioned it on Thursday night, but I'll bring it up again, is the Hall of Fame released their contemporary baseball era committee nominees. And there's some interesting names on this list to possibly get into the Hall of Fame here. We got Cito Gaston, manager for the Blue Jays in the World Series. He has 894 career wins. Davey Johnson, he's got an 86 World Series championship. He's got 1,372 career wins. Jim Leland, 1,769 wins. And then obviously the World Championships with the Marlins in 97. Couple umpires on the list: Ed Montague, 34 seasons. Joe West, 43 seasons, 5,460 games.
That's so many games.
Crazy. Lou Piniella, 1,835 wins, the 1990 World Championships with the Reds. And then a couple executives: Hank Peters for 42 years. And then Bill White was the National League president from 89 to 94. So those are the nominees that could kind of get in this year in the class of 2024. I love the managers on this list, to be honest. I love them all.
Great managers.
Yep. I mean, Lou Piniella has to get in, right?
I mean, I feel like, but
yeah, I think so.
1,835 wins career.
But it's to be up for the contemporary whatnot, like it's a different criteria.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah,
depending on what that is, I'd love to see him get in, but yeah, I know,
huh? Hi, Brian. I hear some of these manager names and I want to smoke a pack of cigarettes. These guys are wrong. old school, the oldest of the old school.
Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, Leland has his own ripping darts highlights. I mean, him going after that manager, stopping during the God Bless America, putting the hat back on, going right back at him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the greatest manager umpire videos ever.
So good.
Yeah. So yeah, I just thought that list was kind of interesting and some cool names on there. So we'll see what happens come July. But yeah, that's all I had for tonight. Do you guys have anything to add before we wrap it up?
Just a question for you guys. So one of the rumors with Soto was Boston. The Red Sox might be looking at Soto to come to Boston. Do you want Soto in Boston?
I wouldn't say no, but what do we have to give up?
I think in terms of like being just like a professional hitter that's just always a threat, but like gives you 5 professional ABs a game, like how do you turn a guy like that down who is still so young?
Mm-hmm.
I would. Now, like, if you have to give up Marcelo Mayer for it, like, I still would. I wouldn't be thrilled about it, but it would still be a yes. Oh, my gosh. What are we doing?
Triple.
Throw him out. Damn it. Now we got 4-2 guy on third, one out. This is
that ball's like a foot off the plate and you almost hit it out.
Yeah, crazy.
I mean, listen, proven talent to me, I would take proven talent every time over potential talent. Like, you know what you're getting with Juan Soto. He's done it in the league for so long. He's done it in big spots. He's done it for teams to win a championship. So I would do it. but only with the understanding. Like, I would be like, okay, I'll hold my nose and jump in and do it if you can sign him.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
you got to be able to sign him.
Yeah, because you're probably giving up, like you said, Mayer, Tristan Cassis. You're giving up some big names to get
Okay.
him. Like I said, major league ready talent. But
You-
yeah, like I said, if you are gonna get rid of those guys, then he needs to stay. Like it, not just like a 1.5 year rental. Like no thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a huge Soto fan. He was a little bit disappointing there for a stretch in San Diego. We finally seemed to figure it out second half of last year. But what I found interesting too with the Gold Glove numbers is that, did you know that Alex Verdugo led all AL right fielders with 9 defensive runs saved? Like,
I didn't off the top of my head. I'm not surprised though.
Yeah, I mean,
he had a great year.
he did, and you know,
Yeah.
there's another guy who's, you know, for some reason seems like he's on his way out of town. Good player that they just don't want to keep. I can't figure out what they like and they don't like.
Yeah, it's interesting, but yeah, I mean, this offseason is going to be absolutely insane. I mean, just Ohtani sweepstakes alone, all these managers moving. It's going to be a fun offseason. It's going to be eventful. We're going to have some packed shows, I'm pretty sure, during this offseason. So,
Yep.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Anything else from you guys?
Well, Max Scherzer's leaving the game, so
In the third. Yep. Anything else from you guys
No,
for this week's show?
I think I'm good.
yeah, we're good.
All right. So we are going to probably come back on and watch this game with you guys. If you want to stay with us, we're just going to end the live stream and pop off there. But we will be back on and just chit chat about baseball. So you are more than welcome to come back and chime in and keep the conversation going. So, but before we go, just make sure you like, subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, all of that. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll see you next week at 8 p.m.
See ya.
Later.